presence. So this is a champion that definitely we're not going to be seeing slipping through the cracks anytime soon. But Samira has made her way through. Now, this is something that we saw a lot coming out from the likes of, well, Rare Asum now, but Vici Gaming at the time, iBoy playing it a huge amount. When you get something like Samira, you really want to pair it with something like an Alistar or Leona, something that can set her up to be aggressive in lane and get a lot of use out of that passive.
And what did we just say about JackeyLove and Zhuo? How aggressive they were in that bot lane 2v2. They've got a Samira. This is an amazing start to the draft for the side of Top Esports. If you need a strong bot lane duo, they've pretty much already guaranteed that now. Over to the side of Suning, going for the Kaisa, which has been another high priority AD carry right now. And actually a very early pickup of the Aatrox that you'd expect to go towards Bin.
Now, I will put a caveat on this. SofM has been playing some Aatrox jungle in solo queue, but I do agree, I imagine that is going towards Bin in the top lane. I'm actually not a fan of the Fiora. In seasons past, Fiora was considered a counter pick to the Aatrox because you could obviously get the riposte, you could do a lot of work with just being able to outplay a lot of Aatrox maneuvers. However, with new Aatrox, with the Gore Drinker, with the amount of sustain that is now in his kit, it actually is a little bit more of a difficult matchup and not as heavily favored in the Fiora's manner.
Yeah, we'll see if they do go for anything like that. I think it was maybe just like, hey, Bin, remember World Finals when you got a pentakill on this? I think it was like a little bit of a nod of the head coming out from Karsa. We actually have the Pantheon locked in, which is exciting because we also have Leona locked in. So this ain't no support. This is going to a solo lane or to the jungle.
I'd imagine jungle. Karsa has been playing this a lot because of, again, you're going to hear me say it all the time, Gore Drinker is a really damn strong item. Pantheon in towards Karsa in the jungle, it works very, very well. You don't have that same fall off when you get to the mid game. The Gore Drinker allows you to scale relatively well in that manner, and you can do a lot of work, especially the presence on the map you get at level 6. Certainly towards that bot lane, as you say, pairing it with the Leona and aggressive Samira. This is looking like Top Esports trying to play through JackeyLove on that bot side.
We're going to have a Kennen ban coming on through, trying to make sure that the top lane matchup isn't so difficult for whichever champion Bin ends up with. You'd assume with the Nidalee there that it is going to be Bin on the Aatrox at this point, but, you know, we've just come out of preseason. I'm not going to make any bold statements at this point until the players show me what's going on, but that's the way you'd expect it to be. Kennen banned, and now Top Esports really taking their time with this one.
I am honestly surprised to see the Nidalee come through. Like, if I'm looking at AP junglers right now, I'm thinking Taliyah. Like, Nidalee has kind of fallen to the wayside because of how strong Taliyah is, getting in 10.25, that buff to her clear. She's just taken over in that jungle, so surprised to see her slip through the cracks here, but certainly SofM, no stranger to a Nidalee pick, and playing back into what has been SofM's at least bread and butter for a long time, which is these more farm-orientated junglers and not playing as heavily towards the lane.
We're going to have Jace banned away as well, so Bin just does not want to deal with any ranged top laners today. He's like, you know what? Difficult matchups, not a fan. We're about to see 369 just lock in Quinn just to like really punish this. He's like, oh, you don't want to play ranged? Let me show you how ranged works, but we'll see. Top Esports could look towards a second mid lane ban. It is going to be that. It's the Orianna taken away from Angel.
Yeah, I mean, you can still have a few mid lane picks that you can go for here, Blind. I'd rather see them go for, well, I suppose you could go towards the support here, knowing that you're in against Leona. Alistar is a big one for me that has been left open. On has played it both in Demacia Championship and certainly would look comfortable on it. But I want to see what his game plan is. Like, this says a lot to me about how On is feeling coming into the tournament here today, because as we talked about in Demacia Championship, he was very, very nervous and making some uncharacteristic mistakes. So I want to see now if they can get him onto a bit more of a comfort pick and give him a bit of breathing room in that bot lane.
Look at that fan vote, Dagda. That is brutal. 85% in favor of Top Esports. They are hovering a bunch of majors right now, which, you know, we've actually seen JackeyLove playing a lot of majors. Obviously, Samira's already locked in, so you expect the Samira to go to the bot lane. But JackeyLove during the Demacia Championship was playing things like Viktor in the bottom lane, so who knows. But it is going to be night with the Syndra for this one. And now we get to see what on earth goes up towards that top lane. I really hope it's like a big lane bully from 369.
I mean, I would hope so. I think you want to play something that can do well against the Aatrox, because if you can put this Aatrox behind, he does fall off. The longer you can delay that Gore Drinker spike, the less impactful it's going to be. So it looks like we're going to get the Karma coming out from 369 here. When you've already got so much engage tools on the rest of your squad, going for something that is going to be able to enable your team a little bit more, get that speed up is going to be great. And certainly this is a, hey, we're just all in on JackeyLove. We've got a very aggressive bottom lane, we've got an aggressive jungler that can put a lot of pressure down that bot side, and now you've got a bunch of shields and heals and everything else for him.
Hang on a second, Dagda. We've got a Galio support. On is wanting to make some moves in his first game here in the LPL. I absolutely hate Galio support personally. Dagda, talk to me about why this is good. What is this pick? Because it's never seemed to work in my mind.
So this is specifically come out as a bit of a counter to Samira, because Samira wants to like dash in on top of you, get up nice and close, and then you can pop that ultimate. The Galio's able to sit there, he can get an easy taunt in towards the knockup, and it means that you can counteract a lot of Samira. So now the composition that we've seen built very heavily around supporting JackeyLove has a bit of a wrench thrown in the works, because this Galio can lock him down and try and make sure that he's not able to get as much off in these team fights as he would like. So honestly, looking at this bottom side of the map now, although usually Samira can do quite well against Kaisa and go aggressive and get a nice bit of burst damage and play in those minion lines where you're not able to get the Acadian Rain off as often, you've now got to contend with this Galio as well, who's going to be trying to prevent Samira from getting as aggressive as she'd like.
And that's an issue for Samira. If you can't get aggressive, if you can't get up in their face, if you can't snowball, it becomes very difficult to have much of an impact, because we've all seen the clips of Samira 1v5ing, but we've also seen the clips of Samira ulting, not doing a lot, and then dying immediately. So we'll see which version of the Samira comes in here. Looking across our lineups here, it's an exciting top lane, especially Dagda. Talk to me a little bit about these holistic compositions, because it feels like for top esports, there's a whole lot of just go in.
Yeah, certainly this is the more aggressive early game team. What you're trying to do here as top esports is play towards JackeyLove in that bot lane, use that new aggressive support in Zhuo, and set this Samira up for success. If JackeyLove is able to start get rolling, well then you've got the likes of the Karma that can provide those shields and a lot of sustain to Samira that makes her very tough to deal with in these team fights. On the other side, looking through at Suning, they're looking to kind of scale a little bit more into the late game. You've got a composition that is trying to play at range to a certain extent with SofM and Angel, and then have come in from the flanks, and then provide an opportunity for Huanfeng to play that more assassination style of Kaisa. But certainly this is going to be a difficult style for Suning to play off against, just because of how quick top esports can engage, and how difficult they're going to be to lock down onto the big carries like JackeyLove.
Dagda, we are on to Summoner's Rift. The game has begun. 2021 lolesports has finally kicked off once more. Our first best of 3 here of the LPL between Top Esports and Suning. It's the World Semi-Final rematch. As Top Esports starting on this bottom side, Suning going to be mirroring exactly. And Dagda, I just want to start off by saying, Suning on in-game is Snon. Like...
Yeah.
That just looks ridiculous.
I mean, look, Snon, he just can't win. Either way, we got to see if he can win out in this bottom side of the map. And I'm going to be keeping my eyes on bot side, but also towards this mid lane as well. Like, I'm looking at Knight versus Angel. This is a matchup Knight is very strong in on the Syndra. Not even talking about just how potent Knight in general is on this Syndra pick. And when you've got Karsa who's on this early aggressive game jungler, there is a very high chance here for Karsa to start to put pressure towards this mid lane, and now Knight to get a lead there and transition that into a 4-man dive bot that can be very difficult for Huanfeng and On to deal with.
And whether or not we get those dives is going to be one of the big questions, but also how coordinated some of these plays on the bottom side are with the 2 brand new supports coming in. Just make sure you remember that coming in, expectations should be slightly different to what you expected going into the World's Finals and the World's Semi-Finals for these 2 teams, because the support players were core factors. The conversation remains, though, that Zhuo is a very significant upgrade on the side of Top Esports, whereas for On, it's very much trying to fill the shoes of Sword Art, and the question for Suning will be around the shot calling and whether or not they can make things happen as a team, and whether or not we do get On and SofM playing around the map together as a duo.
And that's one of the big things here is that on, at least in Demacia Championship, wasn't getting out of the bot lane, wasn't trying to work as much with SofM. And that's why I think we're seeing SofM go away from the champions that we saw him playing Demacia Championship. Actually like the Pantheon and these more aggressive style of junglers, because On is not going to be able to support him as well. So this is where I want to see how SofM is going to take the reins when it comes to shot calling, and see if Suning can have the same pressure that they exerted towards that top side of the map. Because if you don't, Bin is a very aggressive top laner. He likes to overextend and needs that pressure to support him. If he's not able to play or in that style, or at least have the ability to play that, we could see Bin really struggle in matchups, specifically against the likes of 369 and the more mechanical orientated top laners that we have.
Yeah, and we have to bear in mind that when it came to the World Championship, Bin definitely had the best of that matchup in the top lane. We looked at the head-to-head earlier on. I genuinely think that 369 versus Bin is the most exciting thing about this entire matchup between the two teams. But I'm going to hold that thought, because Karsa is making his way in towards the bottom lane. SofM is on the correct half of the map. I don't think there's going to be an opportunity here for top esports, but they're going to try and make something happen. As you can see, SofM is just clearing his Gromp away, and we'll start to move back towards the top side.
This is more about classic Karsa style. Karsa is a controlling jungler who likes to track the opponent. This is him reading SofM going, I know this Nidalee is bot side. I need to be here to allow JackeyLove and Zhuo to shove in this wave and get the bounce back. Otherwise, you run the risk of Huanfeng and On freezing this wave. It makes it very difficult for JackeyLove and Zhuo to try and punish this bot lane, especially if you want Karsa to get kills and set up plays that way. So you need to make sure that you're not allowing SofM to come in and affect this bottom side of the map.
We'll have to see if SofM can get in and affect any of the lanes. Obviously, he is on the Nidalee as well, which is very much a comfort pick for SofM. It's something that back at Worlds, Nidalee was one of the highest priority junglers and something that you just had to respect. One thing that you have to say is, when it comes to Pantheon versus Nidalee, if the action is low in this early game, you've got to give a massive advantage to the Nidalee.
Yeah, certainly. She can just clear through the entirety of her jungle. The thing is, though, that we see an awful lot of times with Pantheons is not the traditional super heavy, oh, I gotta gank, I gotta get rolling, because you're thinking, oh, I need to finish, or I need to get going before I fall off. Instead, we're actually seeing Pantheons opt in a lot for these full clears, this much slower pace, because they want to hit that gore drinker as soon as possible. And once we hit that gore drinker, that's when we start to see them get a little bit more aggressive. So at least for the moment, expect a little bit of a slower pace for both junglers. But when we do see that gore drinker come in from Karsa, he will get a lot more aggressive.
See Zhuo getting a little bit aggressive in the bottom side as well, just tapping each other a little bit. A couple of trades, but not too much just yet. And Dagda, this game is feeling a little bit tense right now. It feels like both teams want to make something happen, just neither's been able to push it through just yet. Karsa going to try and change that as they go in with the Zenith Blade. JackeyLove dashes across as well, but On still feeling good right now, still very tanky as Karsa's exhausted. And it's top esports to just have to back away from the play.
And a nice read from SofM. This is him going, I understand exactly what top esports want to do. Playing through this bottom side, trying to get JackeyLove fed. He's been playing very heavily down towards his top side. You can even see he just ran the entire way down that lane to make sure that On and Huanfeng were going to be safe. The thing is, though, this is giving a very open matchup in this mid lane, where Knight, who has the favorable matchup with the Syndra, has been able to start to get a bit of control over Angel, and this is only going to get worse now that he's hit level 6. You can see Angel's opt in for the early bird threads, which is the correct call against this in this Syndra matchup, but at least he's got a little bit of wiggle room now, because Knight has opted to go for a tier rather than trying to go towards some of the more, like, going straight towards that Luden's Tempest. So at least now the ramp up from Knight is going to be a little bit slower, but his late game prowess is going to be a little bit higher.
So we're 7 minutes into the game, Dagda. There have been no kills, which to start the LPL off is distinctly un-LPL. But I will point out that our first Drake is going to be that Ocean Drake. Who do you expect to be the team that is trying to force these Drakes and trying to get those Drakes snowballing? Because if Worlds has taught us anything, if Demacia Cup taught us anything, it's that these Drakes and just stacking them constantly is the way to go forward if you have the stronger early game comp.
It is, and I think that's why top esports will be the ones that try and go for it. The bigger thing here, though, is, as we said, like, Karsa setting up Knight to get control here, where I want to see Karsa start to play a little bit more towards mid, when maybe we see the Gore Drinker come in, but preferably beforehand, so they can start to make these plays. Now, he's hit level 6. This opens up so much opportunity for the Pantheon to get access towards mid, towards that bot side of the map as well. So both Angel and Huanfeng have to be very careful about how far they are extended in the lane. And maybe then Karsa can transition that global pressure that he has with the ultimate in towards a dragon, specifically if he can get Knight pushing in that window.
Sneaky Karsa managed to get into the pit here. There is a Scryer's Bloom though, and with a trap over the wall, SofM now knows that this is going off. He's going to be able to clear the control ward that's in the pixel brush, but actually Knight is here. 369's roam down. SofM going to be stunned up and annihilated by Knight.
And this is gorgeous from top esports. You can see they've already got full control over top side thanks to 369 and this Karma. Knight as well, we already talked about how he has that priority in the mid lane as well. So they both roam over, they're able to get the kill, catch out SofM, and get themselves a Rift Herald.
Beautifully done there. And SofM not really respecting the situation, not realizing that 369 had already roamed away from the top lane, and just immediately top esports with superior shot calling on the situation and turn it into something bigger. Bear in mind, Karsa is still going to have his ult available, so he can still make plays elsewhere on the map as well.
And I want to cast our minds back to that World semi-final, because in that matchup specifically, the way Suning won out was putting Bin ahead by just over ganking 369. I mean, at one stage on one of the Jace games, he was 0-3 at this stage of the game. They just invested so many resources into getting Bin ahead. The Nidalee doesn't allow for that, and you're starting to see the results. Top esports are able to play out the lane state that they want. They can just play that trident style that they've been famous for, using how aggressive and the mechanical and laning prowess of their individual laners, and it's coming out trumps for top esports right now.
So while we do have a fairly slow early game, it's fair to say, I want to delve a little deeper into this mid lane matchup, Dagda, because as you've said, it's Syndra favored theoretically over the Viktor, but at what point does Viktor have strength coming in? Obviously, there's the new items from preseason. A lot of people might not be as familiar with how mages work right now.
Yeah, so a lot of, as you can see, well, both of them are going towards their tier starts, working towards that Archangel staff, but certainly in this matchup, the Syndra, because of the lower cooldowns that she has and the CC that's so much easier for her to play around, she's much stronger when it comes towards the lane, very strong in that mid-jungle 2v2 as well, again with Pantheon having that CC to complement it. But there's not really a time where Angel's better off in this mid lane, is able to just 1v1 the Syndra. Instead, what you're looking to do is just have Angel continuously wave clear. They've actually been left on their own, which is pretty good for Angel, because at least he doesn't want to be entering in towards like skirmishes around dragons and that kind of thing. So Angel is starting to scale in towards this more team fight orientated Viktor, whereas Knight, certainly a more lane bully, but also that more late game, or sorry, long-range engage tool that you can use these Syndra stuns to set up team fights for top esports.
Rift Herald going to be used in the mid lane here. It's just going to grab a couple of plates, but nothing to write home about here as top esports. He said it earlier, they were going to set up around the dragon. That's exactly what they're doing. Zhuo looking for the engage, flashes over the wall, misses everything. There's a stun onto Angel there, but Suning quite happily, they face check it, they get away with it, everything's fine.
He's not quite able to hit the spells, but at least you can see the mindset, and this is what we wanted from Zhuo, is that he does have the mindset of just going aggressive, wanting to set up these plays. Now, doesn't work out, but at least you can give a little bit of wiggle room now to top esports in this river, although with not being able to pick off SofM, they back away from Dragon, and this is again buying more time for Suning. They are the team that wants to scale into that late game with the Viktor, with the Kaisa, so the fact that top esports haven't been able to pick up these dragons, haven't been able to find river skirmishes that force Angel into these uncomfortable positions, this is a bit of a win for Suning.
I just love that the Chinese production side, straight off the bat, brutalizing Zhuo there. Like, let's just do a quick replay in the bottom corner of him missing everything.
Like, look, we've seen it over the last year. If you mess up, Chinese fans and our production are not going to take it lightly. Like, you're going to get brutalized.
Oh dear, not the greatest in the debut here for Zhuo, but you know what? Like, we forgive these. Like, he'll be fine. Solar Flare's about to come back off cooldown. Bear in mind though, we're 12 minutes into the game, almost 13 minutes in. Nobody has taken a dragon yet. I feel like that's incredibly rare to be this far in without a singular Drake.
I 100% agree. The big thing here, though, is that Gore Drinker has been completed for Karsa. This was our go button that we were keeping our eyes out for. Now that that is done, I would be very surprised not to see Karsa get more aggressive, start to utilize the fact that he's hit that mythic spike, and now we'll see him play more heavily towards that bot side. Now he'll feel more comfortable taking these early skirmishes because he's got that double up of the health bar.
Looks like Karsa is going to start this one off finally. So, first Dragon looking to go towards top esports here because, as you can see, SofM currently recalling. He'll be heading back to base, so we shouldn't see any contest. And on the side of top esports, we already have a ton of sustain available to them. You mentioned the Gore Drinker from Karsa. We also have the Shield Bow coming in from JackeyLove, so it's just pure lifesteal on this side. It's just pure sustain in these fights, and we could well see a full zombie squad that just will not die coming out from top esports.
I mean, think about it. When 369 starts to finish off some of his items as well, like, we'll get the loot. Oh, hang on, Zhuo.
Hang on a second. Zhuo is trying to clear the control wards. On wanted to punish him, but luckily has the backup from the rest of his team. So, well played by top esports to make sure their support's okay.
I want to go back to that point, though, of when we look towards 369, because honestly, you're going to see a huge amount of power coming in from this Karma. Working towards the Luden's Tempest now, but the support items are incredibly strong right now, where you look at like Staff of Flowing Water that gives a whole bunch of move speed. You're looking at like Ardent Sensor still being incredibly potent, and especially when you, as we said, this composition is about enabling JackeyLove. As 369 starts to go forward, he's going to be able to provide so many stats to his team on top of all the shielding and the healing, like from the Athenes and Holy Grail, on towards JackeyLove.
That's going to be the big question, is can they keep JackeyLove alive? Because if he's ulting during these fights, one of the big things is not just shielding him and making sure that he can get his lifesteal off. It's also making sure players like On can't get close, can't get the taunts and the knockups and whatever else. Also, you've got an Aatrox there with CC aplenty. If Samira gets CC'd, Samira is pretty much useless at that point. So it's going to be all about the positioning and the setup for the fights to make sure that JackeyLove can succeed on this carry pick. Herald has been started here by top esports, but it looks like Suning aren't going to give this one up without a fight. Well, no, but I say that, they have immediately backed away.
Yeah, I mean, look, right now, Sunni are trying to avoid fights. As we talked about, like, in a skirmish setting, top esports have the advantage. I mean, you've got so much just single target CC that can come through from Karsa, with Knight being able to follow up, 369 speeding people in, so it's much more harder to kite back from that engage. As Sunni, you just don't want to deal with it. You just want to farm, give as much time and space towards Angel to get towards 2 items. Same when you look towards Huanfeng. He's got the Gale Force completed, not actually going for the Kraken Slayer, which we've seen in the past. Gale Force coming in more for that execution damage, and Huanfeng looking to be the finisher in these fights.
I have to say, I'm kind of curious about the build that we're seeing from Huanfeng here. With the Gale Force first, this is not a... The expectation, at least for me, was for Kaisers to build the Kraken Slayer first. Like,
yeah.
Go for attack speed, go into the crit build, and you just do insane amounts of damage, especially with Halo Blades. Kind of surprised. I don't know if you've seen in your research a few more Gale Forces.
Yeah, there's a few that are coming across from... I've seen a few in the LCK. There's a little bit in LPL as well. It's more so about, hey, look, rather than getting the triple proc off and getting a whole bunch of damage that way, it's more about trying to have the maneuverability in team fights that it offers, and especially when we talk about the amount of CC that can come through from Knight, Leona, and Pantheon, that can be super valuable, but also just your ability to execute targets, because of course that Gale Force, Gale Force has an execute on it, so the lower your target is, the more damage you're going to do, especially when you do have that movement ability as well with it. So this can provide a lot of value towards a Kaisa in these teamfight scenarios where she's got a lot of stuff that she needs to work.
So you're doubling down on the kind of assassin style of Kaisa. Well, we've seen Huanfeng is definitely a secret agent. He's snuck into the base of JDG during the World Championship, so I'm sure assassination is right within his wheelhouse. We'll see what can happen during the teamfights later on. It has to be said, though, we've been talking about the compositions and who wants to snowball, who wants to be leading the charge with the Dragons. That whole conversation has been about top esports, and as you can see, they are starting to build themselves a lead, about 2,000 gold up. This next Drake, you can see them resetting for now as they take away some of the jungle. They got the mid tier 1 and the bot tier 1, but this is actually quite a slow pace of early game coming out from top esports. It feels like Suning have been given a ton of breathing room to just slowly scale into this.
It is, but it's also because of the power that is inherent in Mythics. You can see that, like, once those first few Mythics start to creep in for top esports, that's when they start to get aggressive. The Gore Drinker for Pantheon that we harped on about, you got the Immortal Shield Bow, even the Luden's Tempest coming in for Knight as well. Like, these just provide so much raw stats and the passive abilities as well, that oftentimes teams are just better off farming until they hit these, and then you can look for these one-item spikes that are coming through on the side of top esports.
Well, I'm hoping those one-item spikes come pretty soon, Dagda, because we're almost 20 minutes into the first game of LPL 2021, and we have 1 kill on the scoreboard. I feel like I've been sorely misrepresenting what is going to happen in this first game. I was hoping for a bloodbath. Maybe it still can become a bloodbath, though, because we're positioning for a fight right here. On going to be stunned up, but he's pretty tanky on the Galio. Nice double solar flare. In comes everybody. JackeyLove starts to spin, but he's silenced by the Viktor. At the end of the day, though, first kill going the way of top esports, and now it's traded. Zhuo going to be pulled back in, burnt down. Bin grabs the kill for himself, and now Karsa re-engages this one. It's 3 versus 4 right now. It's Suning with the advantage as they start to try and chase these top esports players down. Dragon is the prize. It looks like both teams still sticking around.
Yeah, top esports still want to try and put pressure. I don't know if this is the best call. You can see Huanfeng, he's going to be able to put some pressure down in this mid lane turret. Suning still have control of the dragon area, so it's just top esports dawdling in this river and not actually getting anything done.
Huanfeng has an opportunity to get on the tower here as well. This should be the mid lane tier 1 going down. You can see Bin grabbing himself some chickens. Suning are going to grab everything that they can from top esports for the time being, but they are going to back away from the potential trade. They're moving towards the top side of the map, but I don't think Baron is on the cards just yet. Even though it's spawning, they don't have the damage for it.
Yeah, with the respawns coming through, Suning weren't comfortable going for it. But either way, they still get the mid lane tower, which is a big win for them. They just want to try and get as much gold invested in towards their carries as possible. And, well, honestly, it opens up the map for them quite a bit as well. Because the biggest issue with Suning's squad right now is just trying to get map control, especially when you've got the likes of the Viktor here, who's not as strong in those skirmishes. You can struggle to get deep vision, but Angel is going to be very good at pushing in these waves to get vision on the enemy jungle. Here, though, you can see top esports just weren't really in a position to follow up on this. It was a nice engage from Zhuo, but you get a way too far overextension coming through from JackeyLove and Zhuo. Karsa tries to come in with the ultimate, but he's not really able to follow up, and Suning are able to collapse faster. And this is something we pointed out at the very beginning of the day with Zhuo, is that, and JackeyLove honestly, is that they kind of have a bad influence on each other. Because Zhuo likes to go in, and JackeyLove really likes to go in. So when you pair the two of them together, it's just like, yeah, we're going. And, I mean, screw it. If someone comes with us, that's great, but we're on our own.
Hang on, we've got a bit of a skirmish going on. Karsa tanking up Bin for now. Both of these guys have infinite sustain, so don't anticipate them to die 1v1. But with the rest of the squads coming in, Bin slowed by the solar flare. We are going to see Karsa going for the ult, jumping into the back line, but immediately regretting his decision. He's going to be knocked up. Does have the Aegis Assault as SofM jumps over the wall. Knights arrive now, looking for the stun onto Bin. Does find it, the ult. Not quite enough damage. And it looks like both teams backing away for now. In goes On, though. Gets the taunt onto Knight. No follow-up. Good spear from SofM, and the laser comes on through. Knight forced to flash. And everybody continues to live.
Well, why are we fighting? There's nothing here. There's no dragon. There's no blue buff. There's no anything. Like, these teams are just like, all right, we had maybe 20 minutes as a bit of a slow pace, but now the gloves are coming off. And you can see specifically, again, it's when you start to see a few more of these items coming through on the side of Suning. They've completed all their first mythics, apart from the supports on either side, but still, this is where Suning now starting to feel like they can push back. And if they're able to keep top esports at a distance, where we look at like Angel being able to poke with the lasers, SofM with these spears, they can start to turn this fight around, which is why we see Karsa going in very aggressively, trying to start these fights off, because in the war of attrition, it is going to be Suning who are able to come out on top.
It does feel a little bit like top esports are almost unsure how to make this composition work. Like, we saw Karsa going in there, but there was a bit of an and an ah as he ults into the backline. He didn't go in immediately. The rest of the team didn't seem to be going in at the same time as him. It all feels a little bit nervous coming out from the side of top esports.
Yeah, I think it's just trying to figure out how they want to approach this. Because, yes, you've got Karsa who's got this long-range ultimate, but essentially if Zhuo isn't in position, Karsa has to be that long-range engage tool and trying to deliver himself into the back line so that then Suning are trying to deal with a fight on multiple angles. And from Suning's side of things, that's where they're going to struggle most. Like when you look at SofM and Angel, they love when, okay, the team is over that way and I know to throw all my abilities that way. Or and I can control the area alongside like with traps and with Angel having that W as well, that stun. But when you start to have multiple different angles of attack, that's where Suning can start to struggle a bit, and where Angel isn't quite sure where to position. SofM has got to run for the hills as well. So this is where top esports are trying to find those angles of attack.
And we can see as well when we look at the items, especially for the AD carries, we're starting to get some damage coming on through. Both AD carries now, they've locked in that hand cannon. The collectors are on the board. They are going to do massive damage if they're given the opportunity. JackeyLove especially with an Executioner's Calling as well, basically trying to make sure that these fights don't go on quite as long with as few kills as they have been, because there is an insane amount of sustain in this game.
Yeah, and it's great for JackeyLove as well. Like the Collector synergizes so well with Samira's kit, because when you kill someone, you get the reset on your E, so it gives you more dashes. It's something that's so crucial for Samira, is that mobility in these team fights. On the opposite side, though, you can see Huanfeng. I imagine he's going to be working. I thought he's going to be working up towards an Asher's Tooth next, but may not see that come in quite yet. Might be working over towards something like the Runaan's Hurricane instead, but most times when I've seen this Gale Force build, it tends to be paired with the more AP.
Oh, stun onto SofM, in they go, and immediately Galio is there to answer. Zhuo, no, he's gone too deep again, and now JackeyLove is left alone. It's 5 versus 4 now, and once again, Suning find an advantage at the start of a fight.
And this is the thing, again, it's Zhuo going that little bit too far. The rookie support, we said, he can sometimes go a bit aggressive, even by top esports standards, and it's starting to hurt them a little bit as Suning play a slow-paced aggression.
They're trying to force the engage here, but Suning don't have that much of a way to start a fight themselves. This is one of the issues of Galio. Generally, it's a follow-up engage, so it does feel like they need top esports to make the move. Dragon taken, though. That's a big pickup. Huge damage coming out from Angel, but they can't follow up too much onto JackeyLove there.
No, but you can see again, like Suning, when top esports are attacking, they've kind of just set up this line of scrimmage. You're going to have the Galio on the front line, Bin is doing the same, and what they're trying to have is top esports positioned in one area. So top esports here, they do get the stun, which is fantastic, but look at how much zone control there is. You've got instantly that stun area that comes down from Viktor. You've got the Galio ult that comes in as well, making it very difficult for top esports to set up. This is, follow-up, which is why when you're looking at top esports, they want to be getting towards these objectives early, having Karsa, again, deliver himself towards the back line, having these flanking angles coming in where they're not just approaching from one side, and allowing Suning to shove them back and deliver them away from the carries.
Well, is top esports still in control of the map right now? It's still... They're the ones setting up on these objectives, which is not that surprising when we've just set up that it's Suning that want to play more reactionary when it comes to these compositions. And so far, I want to revisit the topic of supports. If they'll give me chance here, we may have a bit of a skirmish, because top esports, they're looking for SofM. Bit of damage out from JackeyLove. I will say, JackeyLove, you're not really the guy that's meant to engage these fights. You're not the guy with the hard CC to go in. 369 has found Bin in this bottom side and will be able to get a route for himself. In comes Karsa as well. Just bear in mind, Bin is playing Aatrox though, so he is completely invincible. And he will walk away. Ooh. Great damage coming out from Angel already on this Viktor. Huanfeng does have a mark, but he's not going to jump into the back line. That would be kind of suicidal. But let's take a look at where the gold is spread right now, because it is actually pretty much even when it comes to total gold for the two teams. But when you look at the carries, Huanfeng is head and shoulders above JackeyLove right now with 2 kills on the board, 550 on the bounty. He's already finished the 3 items, and he's feeling incredibly strong, especially with that extra crit cape in there. So I'm expecting Huanfeng, if he finds the freedom and the opportunity, he could look exceptional in the next couple of fights. Okay, I think Rob has accidentally muted his mic or something for a second, so we'll try and get that fixed up, and I'll monologue for a little while until we are golden on the audio once again. But yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting one when we get into the next couple of fights.
Am I here?
I don't know, mate. I've been able to hear you the whole time, so it's hard for me to
we'll see if I'm here. I'm not sure what's happened there, but look. Okay, I'm back.
We're good. Okay.
But yeah. So, what I was saying was, I think we're going to have two big things come through here, where we're going to be looking at both Viktor and the Kaisa that are doing really well. Viktor has that Luden's Tempest, the Archangel Staff. Like, Viktor's hit a pretty big critical mass here, and you're going to see him turn out a lot of damage. I'd love to see the Lich Bane come through next for Angel, just to provide that little bit more burst, specifically for Jackie.
Bong's been CC'd up, but the Aftershock keeping it very safe, and it's Zhuo that takes a lot of damage instead. Karsa has gone right onto the back line. No follow-up from the rest of his team just yet as he keeps himself safe with the Aegis Assault. Now JackeyLove, the ult didn't quite do enough, and On walks away barely with his life here. Another fight, Dagda, where nobody dies. What is going on?
I don't understand it. I actually thought someone was going to die in that fight, and Top Esports just do not have the burst damage to get through on to try and get through the rest of Suning as a result. And again, they're forced to back away because Top Esports, they're very, one punch heavy. They're very burst orientated. You've got the follow up from that. You've got JackeyLove who's got that combo to get that ultimate off. But if they're not able to get a few members of Suning down in that time, they're going to be forced to back away because you're going to have healings coming through from SofM, a lot coming through from the likes of Bin. On is going to be able to re-enter fights with his ultimate as well. Like, you've got to be able to finish off Suning, but Top Esports, their composition that was that early game ride, the ticket's gone. They're not able to get going in the way that they wanted, and now Suning are taking over.
And let's just remember they have Samira, is what I was trying to say, just combining words. If the right situation occurs, he can just get like a pentakill. It's like Katarina, right? Where you just spin around and everybody dies. But that's much more difficult than it sounds when you're playing in professional play when there's so much CC on the enemy team. Angel has been holding his ult as well to just silence as soon as JackeyLove tries to go for it.
Well, both sides have set up their line here. Top Esports, again, we want to see if you can have Karsa, who is hovering back with the ultimate, get in and start to split up Suning. The better Suning are split up, the easier be for Top.
Here we go. Smite goes the way of Suning, so they get the dragon for themselves. Zhuo goes in way too deep once more. Karsa's there to follow up, but he's followed to his own demise here. The Aegis Assault can only keep him alive for a tiny little bit, and Bin is Aatrox, so he's completely invincible. Now Suning on the follow-up, and they are looking for blood. JackeyLove spins around, he turns it around for one, and Knight grabs the kill, but it's 6-3 now, and Baron's on the cards.
And I am so damn impressed with this Suning lineup. I had zero expectations for Suning coming in because they'd lost Sword Art, because there was such a massive hole in what had seemed like such a pristine lineup. However, Suning have come into the 2021 season and they're having none of it. They want to show why they're in the World Finals.
Here we go, Baron taken. Angel takes a hit from 369, but it's not enough. And Suning, they've grabbed themselves the Baron, they've got themselves a gold lead, and they're looking fantastic in their debut game.
Absolutely amazing, and especially in the likes of On. Now, on this Galio, you can see how much space he's creating, but playing far back, providing a lot of room for this team to work with, and that's all that he has to do. And you can see Top Esports are really struggling. They're not able to get all their pieces in the right place, where Karsa is going in after Zhuo has already died. You've got JackeyLove who's not able to follow up. 369 is kind of shaking his head in the back line going, what am I supposed to do here? And Suning are the ones that are coming out on top.
This is really brutal, actually. These fights feel kind of impossible for Top Esports.
But the thing is, it's only 2,000 gold. Like, we're not massively over in Suning, but the fact that they're ramping up these Infernal Dragons is starting to get a little bit scary.
To me, it's not about looking at the scoreboard. It's about looking at the way the fights have been going so far. Like, Zhuo is going in, which that is his job. He needs to go in alongside Karsa to start the fight off, but it feels like there's not much of an avenue for the rest of top esports to follow up, because Bin is there as Aatrox that's quite happy to 1v4 the rest of top esports. Nobody can do anything to stop him. And then, worst case scenario, he had a stopwatch in that one. Now he's got a GA for himself. This doesn't get any better, it feels like.
And that's what I was going to say. Bin has just gone full tank mode as he goes in.
Oh, hang on. Him and Huanfeng are going huge in the bottom lane. 369 in a whole heap of trouble. Pops him into the GA here, but the rest of the team has arrived. Taunts come on through, and he is going to survive somehow. Huanfeng is alive, and now they charge underneath the towers. Bin more than happy to tank this one up as it's knockups galore onto the squad. JackeyLove gets himself a shield out from 369, but enough is enough, say Suning. Another 3 kills, and now they're on the inhibitors.
And this is going to be the end. You've got death timers that can't come up before Suning can plow through this Nexus. Suning are coming in strong to 2021.
It's a slow, cold, calculated win here for Suning, unless JackeyLove and 369 can pull off a miracle here, but it's not gonna happen. The Nexus will fall, and Suning with a Game 1 upset here over top esports.
Beautifully played from Suning as well, understanding exactly when they were going to be strong, how they wanted to approach the map. Because when we looked at that very early game, SofM said, look, all I need to do is keep my bot lane safe, stop Karsa from being able to go aggressive there. I will outscale this Pantheon, I can outfarm this Pantheon, we can separate the lane for Angel. In the 1v1, it's not going to be great, but making sure that we don't have to tend towards early skirmishes around dragons or rift heralds means that we're going to be far safer, and we will hit that late game point. And top esports, when they got there, didn't know what to do. Suning had brilliant zone control. They were consistently fighting in choke points so that then top esports weren't able to find multiple flanks, and they had on just with this massive Galio making sure nobody from top esports could get where they wanted.
And, like, I've misread the Galio pick completely. I said right at the start, I hate this pick. I was thinking about it in terms of my experience of it sucking in lane. If you just opt out of the lane phase, it's amazing later on in these team fights. It's the perfect, like, bouncer to just stand next to your AD carry, just buffer everyone away, keep Karsa away, keep Zhuo away, and just CC everyone down.
It's like, sorry, JackeyLove, you need a coffee. Come back later, mate. It's not happening. You're not moving anywhere here. But the thing was, it was like, as you said, it was the Karsa and Zhuo who were trying to find this 2-man combo, but Zhuo just seemed to be jumping the bullet every time soon, or jumping the gun every time soon, where he'd be the one that's gone in. He's dead before Karsa can even react. And you could tell that that's what top esports wanted to do. Karsa was hovering back because he was like, right, I am ulting into this fight. I know where I want to be and what I want to do, but they couldn't quite get the pieces working at the same time. However, though, looking over at Suning, I was worried for Suning. I was very, very worried after I saw them in Demacia Championship. Quick sweep to Vici Gaming, obviously Rare Atom now. The coordination in bot side was not there. The shot calling was abysmal. SofM looked like he'd never played League of Legends before. Now, though, coming in, he looks so much better. The team as a whole has rallied around SofM, and you can see the results. They look so damn clean.
Now, I'm gonna, like, obviously, let's talk about the damage numbers and things. Like, fair play, Angel and Huanfeng, as you'd expect, up there in the damage. JackeyLove spun a couple of times during team fights, so he's going to be doing all right as well. There's nothing that really stands out massively in this scoreboard, to me at least. But when we talk about Suning, I'm really curious about if this is a sign of things to come, or whether this is a compositional thing, because this composition is much more about, okay, let's let top esports make the play, and then we respond. So long as we can respond appropriately and we can use the Galio CC and whatever, fantastic. Team fight's going to look fantastic. My question is, and the big question for a lot of people is, what's the shot calling like for Suning, right? Without Sword Art. So can